Hey guys, welcome back to Some Crypto. In today's content now we'll talk about BTC. We'll take a look at BTC on the macro scale and what type of a price action we could be anticipating over the next like a few weeks or even like a few months, right? Going into 2024, right? Especially the end of Q4 2023, right? So we discussed several times the Elliott wave analysis regarding BTC, regarding the divergences and all that good stuff. We talked about it back in November 2022. What we said was like BTC had a 85% probability of bottoming in in November, and that's exactly what happened. Okay, based on the time analysis of the 12-month bearish cycle we had right here, started back in November 2021, right? And it ended like back in November 2022. So we were pretty confident BTC, was about to find the bottom, right, in November, and it did exactly, right? So after our five-way structure right here, what we had was like we had a divergence between our wave 3 and wave 5, right? And make it bigger for Leroy. Right, so we had our divergence between wave 3 and wave 5, and if you take a look at our indicators, right, our MACD was making lower highs right here. Okay, our first high was back in April 2021, second high November December 2021, and if you take a look at our our side, we did have one high right there, and even though price action pushed to the upside to create a new high right here, we never basically even got a double top on our side. So the trend was starting to signal the potential long-term downtrend, and we talked about this long-term downtrend also after we broke out to the upside right here, right? So now if you take a look at the divergence also, the divergence we had right here in terms of bearishness, that is the same divergence we discussed back in November, right, after the 12-month cycle ended. What we said was like, we basically repeating the same thing, right, we did at the top, right, we basically repeating it at the bottom. The only difference is like you're doing it inversely, right? So it is quite important to understand what's going on right here, because we're going to translate it to our current structure, right? So you take a look at the divergence we had right here. We discussed it back in November. We said, okay, BTC is likely to be bottoming in November, right? We could be pushing to the upside up to the monthly 21 EMA. Right there, we had our support at the monthly 100 EMA. If we take a look at it on the monthly, it did not quite retest the monthly 100 EMA on Kraken. But if we take a look at it on the BLX chart, right, that's exactly where we bottom at, right? So if we go back to our monthly time frame, you can see like we said exactly the monthly 21 EMA going to be our toughest challenge, okay, for the entire 2023, right? Could we break it? Yes, but to stay above it, right, for the entire 2023 could be very, very challenging. So that's why we were expecting at the same time the first half of 2023, right, to be bearish, and the second half of 2023 to be either boring or bearish, or it could be even bearish and boring, right? So if you go back on a lower degree, right, you can see like the move we had right here, a divergence was created, right? Bullish right here, broke out to the upside, pushed to the monthly 21 EMA. At the monthly 21 EMA, right? Remember we said the monthly 21 EMA likely to be our resistance, but the monthly 21 EMA based on the time cycle, it is not going to give you a very strong divergence, because it is a monthly time frame, right? So we don't have enough data to be printing what a divergence on the monthly. So the only way we can find a divergence, it has to be lower than the monthly time frame. So we only using the monthly 21 EMA as a resistance, but not a reversal range. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes people, I wouldn't say people, but I don't like to basically mix up a resistance and a reversal. Sometimes you can get a resistance level, but you don't get a reversal right away. For instance, at the monthly 21 EMA, we did have a resistance right here, and it is still a resistance. However, right, we're not getting a reversal yet, right? So, but if we take a look at it on the weekly, you can see like on the weekly, it is showing us what? A divergence, right? So what type of divergence? A similar divergence, right? A similar divergence to our top formation right here between 63 and 69K. So you can see just about like a 31K and 32K area, right? So we hit 30, just about like a 31,050 for Leroy, right? Back in April, the second week of April, and we hit back in July, we hit like a 31,790, right? So higher highs, right? But in terms of like an indicator, we created what? Low highs right here. So a clear divergence, right? And on top of that, if we add our indicators, right? Let's say we add our 21 EMA, we below the 21 EMA. So a divergence plus price action being below your 21 EMA, most of the time it is a a strong divergence, right? It doesn't mean like it will play out at 100%, right? It will play out 100%, right? Because nothing, you can't be so sure regarding like you can be so sure, right, regarding what's going to happen in the near future, right? But you could be saying like, hey, the divergence right here is pretty much similar to what we had right here, and we were anticipating some sort of like a resistances, right, around the monthly 21 EMA, right? The monthly 21 EMA around like a 28.8, 29K, and we spent like nearly 2 months, okay, consolidating between 28K, right, to 31, 32K area right here. When did we hit 28K? That was like back in March. The first week of March, we hit like a 28, right? And we got rejected around like a 31.8, right, back in July. So we spent a lot of time, okay, consolidating right here. Even though the volatility, you could say, was slow, okay, started like back in April down to June, right? And was pretty much slow after June till basically August, right? So, but if we go back to our divergence, right, you can see like we below the monthly 21 EMA. MACD is negative. If you take a look at it in terms of like a RSI, we're still creating low highs right here. Okay, so it means like potentially BTC, right, has already put in its wave one, right, of the bull market. If you recall, we said it multiple times, okay, in multiple public videos, we said the next bull market, it is likely not to be very sharp or very steep. Okay, so if you go back to the last bull market, if you go back to one of our last bull markets, right, this one was pretty fast. Okay, the 2014 up to 2020, 2018, right, was pretty fast. BTC basically pumped straight up to the moon, right? You can see like the bull market we had right here, 2018 up to basically 2021, was kind of choppy, even though we got some very big moves. Like this one was 350%. This one was nearly 1700%. Okay, but at the same time, it wasn't as clean, okay, as we had right here. So I'm expecting a dirty bull market over the next like few months, okay, going into 2025, mid 2025 to late 2025. We could be getting a very choppy, very dirty bull market, meaning like we could get some big waves like that, instead of getting like a clean wave, something like that, or something like that. This one was clean. This one wasn't actually clean, but we could get we could get a move like that over the next like a few months, going into a second half of 2025, or even like a first half of 2025, depending on the volatility, right? So now what to look for? We basically talk about our divergence. Okay, whenever we get a divergence, it tends to signal a trend reversal. And once you get your trend reversal, what to look for? You got to look for support. Okay, so since we're talking about like BTC on the macro level, right? The first macro support we have to pay attention to, it is going to be our quarterly time frame, right? The quarterly 21 EMA going to be our primary support. It doesn't mean it won't break it, but it is likely not to break it, right, and dump below it like for 2 quarters, 3 quarters, 4 quarters below it. The reason for that is like the halving is in 8 months, in April 2027. So the likelihood of BTC staying below the quarterly 21 for like a 2, 3, 4 quarters, right, it is very low. Okay, anything is possible, right? But I don't see bulls, okay, giving up right before the halving, because they never give up right before the halving, especially like 6 to 8 months before the halving. They tend to basically they tend to buy the dips, okay, and wait for the post halving bull market and all that good stuff, and basically sell 12 months after the halving. Okay, basically that's the secret. There is no secret regarding the BTC halving. Buy 3 to 6 months before the halving, sell 12 months before the halving. Could it go high after you sell? Yes, it can even go like another 100%. But since like we're getting a diminishing return, I don't think BTC will go 100%, right? 12 months, right, after the halving. You see what I'm saying? So if the halving going to be in April 2024, right? In April 2025, right? After April 2025, right? I don't see BTC going up 100%. Especially if we see BTC around like 150, 180, 200K in 2025. It is likely not to be breaking out like another 100%. So something to just keep in mind, right? So just to go back to the quarterly time frame, the quarterly 21 EMA, it is as of now at 23, right? But since like the volatility is so high, we're just going to say, 23 plus minus 10%. That's exactly what we did right here when we were coming down in Q2 2023. What we said, the quarterly 21 is at 21K, so we'll basically look for 21K plus minus 10%. So it dipped like just by like a 10-12%, right, below the quarterly 21, and dump all the way down to like a 18K give or take, right, before pushing back up slightly above it. So now if we go back to the lower degree, we can see and on Kraken, right, the quarterly 21, it is right around like a 22.8, right? So if we go back to the lower degree, we can see, right, 10%, right, above, let's just say 23K to make it easy for Leroy, right? So 10% above 23, it'll give us just about like a 25.3. And 25.3, that is our current support, right? If you're using like a let's say Coinbase or like a Binance Spot, okay, not leverage, any leverage exchange, right? So 25.3, right, down to like a 20.7, 10% below 23, you get about like a 20.7. So the range of 25.3, right, where we're getting our recent support at, right, down to a 207, Leroy 20.7K, right? That's going to be the macro support, right, of the first wave right here. Remember, we're saying like the first wave is, is likely to be done, okay, and we're going to get some sort of correction over the next like a few weeks or even like a few months going into 2024 and all that good stuff. So the range of 25K, right, low 25 down to low 20K, going to be the macro support for the next like a few weeks and all that good stuff, right? We don't know, okay, in terms of like wave analysis, it is very, very hard to tell what type of a wave structure we're going to get on the downside. Just like what happened right here when BTC was around like a 17K, 18K, we said we're just going to buy and wait for what? The monthly 21 EMA. Once we hit the monthly 21 EMA, it is likely to be a resistance, right? A take profits range, but you won't know what type of reversal or what type of structure you're going to get at the monthly 21. Similarly, okay, even though we're saying like it can drop down to these lows or even drop down 100%, make a 100% retracement, right? You just don't know what type of structure you're going to get in this range, right? So the same type of a structure we got right here and we had right there, okay, and we created at the top, that's what we could be looking for, right, within the next like a few months, between 50% to 100% retracement. Okay, just in case it does go below the quarterly 21 temporarily, right, we got to basically be paying attention to any sort of divergences, right, especially on the 3D up to the weekly time frame, because you don't want to wait for like a monthly divergence. It is most likely not going to give us a good a timely signal. Okay, it could be very, very lagging to get a monthly divergence when we know the halving going to be like in 8 months. So we do not have enough time, right, to be getting like a monthly divergence right here. The monthly MACD, it is already positive. Okay, it could slightly be negative if the volatility is slow and we keep on making like a lower lows, lower highs. Yes, it can be negative, but I don't see us basically printing a clean divergence and all that good stuff. It could, but I wouldn't basically be paying attention to a monthly divergence. But if we get it, great. But the most important thing to be looking for over the next like a few weeks, it is going to be the quarterly 21 EMA, right? It is just about like a 23 plus minus 10%, 25K to 20K area. That's going to be the primary accumulation zone. Okay, so now if we go ahead and take a look at BTC on a 3D basis, right, to get some deeper understanding of what's going on a lower degree, right, and at the same time to get a deeper understanding of what's going on in terms of like a Fibonacci, we could say the range of 22 down to 20K, which is still below the quarterly 21, going to be also a very strong support level most bulls going to be paying attention to. Okay, if we get a 100% retracement, 80% retracement, 90% retracement, we got our 0.786 Fibonacci at 18K and 0.888 Fibonacci at 16.7. But just to round it up, I'll put it at 17K for Leroy, right? But to be exact, it is 16.7. Okay, so basically 18.3 to 16.7, right? Going to be the secondary support, and the primary support we already discussed it, right? 25K all the way down to 20K for the macro level. But if you're trading, like let's say you're trading BTC for the next like 2 to 3 weeks, yes, you could be looking for this tight range of 22 to 20K. But on the macro basis, as I said, the quarterly 21 going to be the macro investor's best friend, okay, within the next like a couple of months going into the end of the year, and be waiting for the halving and all that good stuff. It could break below the 20K range once again, but the likelihood is not very high. Okay, and the likelihood of staying below the quarterly 21, even like the first quarter of 2024, is not very high, because BTC always retraces right above its monthly 21 EMA, right, around the halving time, or right after the halving, right? A good example is right here. If we take a look at it on the BLX chart, I discussed it multiple times, right? In 2020, right, BTC was above the that was like May 2020, BTC was above the monthly 21 EMA. What happened back in May 2020? We had the halving, right? If we go back to July 2016, the halving, during the halving, right, BTC was above the monthly 21. If you go back to 2016, November 2012, excuse me, BTC was around like $12 above the monthly 21 EMA. So we could be slightly below it, around it, right? Because we've been getting like some diminishing return, right? The longer the cycle, right, the closer we get to the monthly 21. For instance, right here, the monthly 21 was somewhere around like a 400, BTC was around like a 600, so 50% high, right? Right there, the monthly 21 was somewhere around like a 8,000, BTC was around like a 9,500. So you can see the diminishing return, right, regarding the monthly 21 EMA, right? BTC being above the monthly 21 EMA around the halving time, right? So in this range, it could be around the monthly 21 EMA, or slightly above the monthly 21 EMA, or even like a slightly below the monthly 21 EMA. So we just don't know. But one thing we know is like it is likely to be close to its monthly 21 EMA, assuming like the monthly 21 EMA at the same time is not going to be it is going to be lagging, meaning like the volatility right here could be slow, and the monthly 21 still going to be around like a 28 to a 25k area within the next like 6 to 8 months, depending on the volatility. And if you go ahead and take a look at BTC at the same time on a 12-month cycle, we talk about BTC every year, okay? Every January we tend to talk about BTC in terms of like the 12-month cycle. And what we said back in 2022, we said, we're going to be bearish likely for the 12-month, for the entire 2022, right? However, the 2023 cycle, right, could basically retrace 50% of the 2022 cycle, meaning like we could, retrace at least 50%, right, of the candle right here. So you can see like this big candle, okay, we retrace like 50% of it, and that was exactly around the monthly 21 EMA. Okay, so you can see like back in 2019 BTC retraced back up to the closing basis of, right, of the 12-month cycle, right? We could not close above like a 13,888, and back in 2019 I was like 13,888 going to be the easiest target. The reason for that was like even on the monthly basis we could not break above it, right? If we go ahead and take a look at it on the monthly basis, that's a line right here, and as you can see, as soon as we took off right above 13.5, we basically started the bull market. And I was saying it clearly back in October. If BTC breaks out above 13k, by October 20th, we're going to be going for a bull market, because it won't be any resistance above the 13k area, and it looks clean, right, on the on the 12-month cycle. And if you take a look at the next big resistance, right, based on the quarterly time frame and the 12-month cycle, it is going to be the 45k. So if we get any basically pump above the 45k area within the next like let's say 6 to 12 months, it means like zero resistance above this range, and we could be headed all the way up to like 180 and all that good stuff. So got to be paying attention to the 12-month cycle. It is not like you need to talk about it like you need to basically pay attention to it, or like we need to talk about it like every day, but it is something like you want to pay attention to every quarter or like every 6 months, stuff like that. Even speaking of the 6-month cycle, so we can clearly see the 6-month cycle looks super bullish, and now we got a 6-month 21 EMA pretty much, right, very close to what our bottom right here. So even if we come down to these lows, right, not just because the not just because the quarterly 21 is at 23k and we could use it as a strong support, at the same time we got our 6-month 21 EMA right now sitting just about like a 15k, okay, to be exact 14,676 for Leroy. So the range of 25k down to 20k, once again, going to be the macro support. Anything below it could be could be very, very undervalued, right, regarding BTC, especially 3 to 6 months before the halving and all that good stuff, right? So that's all I wanted to cover for BTC on a macro level. So we'll see how it goes over the next like 6 to 8 months. It is not a day trading analysis, so if you're trading the 15-second charts and all that good stuff, this analysis might not be for you. All right guys, thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to hit the likes, don't forget to join our public Telegram group, our premium group, link also in the description and all that good stuff, right? All right guys, thanks a lot for watching.